Patricia is a professional graphics designer, creating visual communications in a variety of media, including print, web, and photography. She has been employed by South Mountain Community College for 7 years and has also taught Photoshop and photography courses for the district. She has been honored by the National Council of Marketing and Public Relations for her design work on several college projects. The topic of her speech is beauty, of which she states, true beauty lies within our character. I challenge you to discover the inner beauty within yourself by developing a good quality character. Please help me welcome Patricia Thornham.
How close is this good? Can you guys see me? Okay. Good morning. Morning. I will be totally transparent with you guys. I woke up this morning with a fever, and I'm not feeling too great. And I really spent some time putting this presentation together, and I'm excited about it. I really want to share it with you. But my energy level is just kind of low, and I just want to apologize up front. And if you guys, could participate and talk to me, I would appreciate that so much. That would just really help me. The topic today is about beauty, and when I was asked to speak, I said, sure, I'll speak. What do you want me to talk about? And they suggested, why don't you talk about something that you're interested in? I'll get closer. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I would turn it up.
Turn up the microphone?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It feels like it's right in my face. What's that? Is this better? No?
I'll just stand here.
Do
you want to hold it?
Yeah, like this. How's this? Better? Better? Okay, thank you. Just to start out, I'm a graphic designer at South Mountain Community College. And I do graphics, I do Photoshop, I do photography, multimedia, web, you name it, I'm doing it. And one of the things that has always interested me is retouching. I've actually taught some Photoshop classes and taught photography. And this subject kind of evolved from a post I had put on my blog. I had started a blog about 2 years ago. And originally, the reason why I started the blog was just for me personally, because I just wanted to have a place where I could document and write down some of the art projects I was working on. And it was a great place for me to, if I saw something interesting on the web, I'd grab it, and I'd put it on my blog, and I could go back and reference it and get inspiration. And a couple of months ago, I had found a Dove video that I really liked. And the video itself was, it had a time-lapse piece in it that I thought was really, really cool. So I stuck on my blog thinking I'd go back and work with it later. Well, I had a couple people that follow my blog, and every time I saw it, I'd be like, that video was really good. Like, what do you think about that? And to be honest, I wasn't really, I had no intention of talking about beauty from the Dove video, but I was just interested in the time-lapse. So what I'd like to do is play the Dove video for you so you can see it, and then we'll get on the same page and kind of talk about it. Okay, now this is really fast. It's only 60 seconds long, so you gotta pay attention, so here we go. Okay, so that was the dub video. And so the dub video was made in 2006. It actually went viral, meaning that it created such an emotion in everybody that it got passed around the World Wide Web. And clearly, their intent was to kind of protest the way that the media was morphing our perception of beauty. But you know, it's 2011, and I thought it was pretty much common knowledge that everybody knew that everything that you saw has been photoshopped. How many people know that when you look through a magazine, everything that you're looking at has been liquefied and cloned and, right? Yeah, so everybody knows that already. Okay. And so the question of what is real beauty, yeah, no matter what you do, things are going to be photoshopped. You can't really protest things being retouched. But I kind of decided I wanted to come at this from a different angle, maybe from the side of the person who actually does the retouching. And I had a kind of a different question, because in retouching, we always do the same things. We build up the eyes, we widen the mouth, we elongate the neck. There's all this stuff that we do to make people more attractive. And so the question I kind of had was, is there such a thing as universal beauty? Clearly, if we're doing this to everybody all the time, there must be something about those things that we're doing that's making people more attractive. And so my question was, if you went out to, for instance, to Africa, and you flew out to the jungles, Timbuktu, and you showed a bunch of African people a bunch of pictures, and you said, which one of these images do you think is attractive? And they picked one. And then you went to Japan, and again, same thing, you went out and said, show me which image you think is attractive, and they would pick one. And you go to Alaska, same thing, right? Would they all pick the same image? And the answer was, yes, they do. It turns out that this question has been quite popular with a lot of scientists. Everyone is very interested to know if there is such a thing as universal beauty, that is there a face shape, a symmetry to people's faces that people are attracted to. And universally, it turns out that symmetry and proportion is very important in the face shape that people typically tend to pick. I thought that was great. It's good to know, especially if you're doing retouching and if you're analyzing what is real beauty. But underneath that was a question of why. Why is it that everyone likes symmetry and proportion? Why is it that they're always attracted to the same face shape every time? And there's an answer underneath the answer, and that is that beauty is mathematical. It's kind of like music. How many people play music or in a band or sing, something like that? Cool, okay. And I think everyone would agree that music is artistic, yes. But also, if you peel back that layer, there's a layer of mathematics underneath the music as well, right? Okay, well, it's the same thing in the visual realm. What you see visually is beautiful, but underneath that is a mathematical value for why you like something. And this mathematical value is called the golden ratio. It's 1 to 1.618. It's pronounced phi. You spell it F-E-E in English, and we're just going to call it the golden ratio because it's just easier to say. How many people have heard of the golden ratio? Cool. A person of either gender is attracted to all cultures if they have facial symmetry based on a golden ratio of 1 to 1.618. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. What we have right here is a golden rectangle. This rectangle has that golden ratio in it. I'll use the mouse here. Okay, so this rectangle, the width is 1, okay? And the height is 1.618. When scientists tried to do another study. They went out and made a bunch of rectangles, and they put them on a piece of paper. And then they went to all over the world, and they said, pick out the rectangle that you like the most. And universally, every time, they always picked a particular rectangle. And guess what? That rectangle had these proportions, 1 to 1.618. People are just attracted to that particular shape. Also, inside of this rectangle is another rectangle. You see it right here in the gray? Okay, now it's on its side, so now the width is 1.618 and the height is 1. And it keeps going. There's another rectangle inside this rectangle, and then there's another rectangle inside that rectangle, and it just keeps going and going and going. And eventually you get what's called a golden spiral. And I'm going to show that to you in a second here. On the right-hand side, we have what's called the golden proportion. And we got variables, we got A and B, but just to make it more simple, B is 1 and A is 1.618. So when you're measuring length, okay, you're using proportion. And here I have a picture of a hand, okay, and so 1 is from the wrist to the fingertips, and then 1.618 would be from the wrist to the elbow. Now that would be a perfectly proportional hand. So how does this work in beauty? Well, I have a picture here of a model, and we've put this golden rectangle on top of her face. And as you can see, from her chin to her forehead, and from the width of her cheeks, her face perfectly fits inside that golden rectangle. So subconsciously, whether you know it or not, when you see someone who has a certain face shape that meets these dimensions, they're going to trigger as more attractive. The forehead also fits into this smaller rectangle right here. So from the top of the eyebrows to the top of the forehead, again, that forehead is fitting into this rectangle, and that is a more attractive proportional dimension. On the right, we have golden proportion. I'm trying to give an example of what that looks like. There's all kinds of ways to measure, slice, and dice up the face. But again, if you look at the bottom here, the yellow is 1, the green is 1.618. So let's look at this line right here. So this yellow area is from the top of the forehead to the eyebrows, that's 1. And then from the eyebrows to the chin, that's 1.618. We also have a measurement for the eyes. Here, the length of an eye is 1. And then from the excuse me, corner of the eye to the other eye is 1.618. And so, in the world of defining what is beauty, we can mathematically determine what is more attractive. And as a retoucher, if I just move a few things a few millimeters, I can increase your attractiveness. I thought you guys might think that was kind of cool. I'm going to keep going here. This golden ratio, this mathematical value is everywhere. It's everywhere you look. So if you look at flowers, leaves, nature, if you look at the stars, look at cells, DNA, atoms, everything you measure has got this golden ratio in it. It's absolutely surreal. Architecture. Okay, let me back up for a second. There is also a golden triangle. Here's a golden spiral, okay? There's a golden rectangle, which we've talked about. There's golden proportion. There's a golden pentagram, which is kind of like a star. And what's interesting is that this is, there's a phrase, there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, all the ancient cultures have known about this ratio. And so if you were to look at the Egyptian pyramids and measure out the pyramids, they built the pyramids using the golden triangle. That's the slope and the angle of the pyramid itself. Same thing with Greek and Rome. You go measure the Colosseums and the columns on things. They're using the golden rectangles because they knew that that was more attractive to the eye. They knew that that was a mathematical value that had value. When you go look at statues, Roman and Greek statues, carved out of marble, And if you go measure the faces and the eyes and the noses and all that stuff that they've made, you will see that they were using golden ratio values in the width and height of the face, the proportions and the symmetry of the nose and the eyes. Same thing for the torso of the body of statues. It was mathematics to the max, because they knew that that was more attractive. So I'm going to go on a limb here and just take this one step further. Even though Photoshop didn't exist, and we were, they weren't pushing pixels per se, they were still attempting to create art that was the most beautiful it could be. I kind of want to move into the Renaissance period. All the artists of the Renaissance period studied the golden ratio. They studied proportion. In particular, I want to talk about Leonardo da Vinci. He also had a blog. He had a journal where he wrote down all the art projects he was working on. And Leonardo was amazing. He was pretty much a genius. He was an amazing mathematician, and he was also an amazing inventor. And in his journal, they found this diagram picture of a man. How many people know what this is? Raise your hand. How many people think they might know what this is now that we've had this conversation? Okay. Leonardo was basically dissecting up the human body. He was trying to draw a perfect human figure using mathematics, using the golden ratio. And so you see the different arm and leg spans. He's using golden rectangles in here. Here's one big gigantic golden rectangle where you see from the navel to the head, that's 1, and then from the navel to the feet, that's 1.618. There's golden triangles in here. There's all different kinds of ratios. He's trying to get perfect proportion on limbs, head, chest width, all that kind of stuff. So that's what this really is. And so I see this all the time. I see it misused and plastered all over the place. But when you see this, at least now you know what this is. It's not that big of a deal, to be totally honest, but it's kind of cool just to go, oh, I know what that is. It's neat. The Mona Lisa. Leonardo also painted the Mona Lisa. And there's a lot of speculation about what is the Mona Lisa about? Who's this crazy lady and why is she smiling? And I don't have the answers. I really don't. But if you were to peel back the aesthetic and measure the Mona Lisa mathematically, she is jam-packed with golden ratio measurements. Here you can clearly see her face fits into the golden rectangle. And then right here we've got the golden curve, okay? Golden spiral, excuse me. There's a golden triangle between her arms and her head. Even the way that she's placed inside the frame is mathematically determined. And so people stare at this picture for hours and hours trying to figure it out. I kind of suspect that maybe they're staring at the picture for hours because mathematically it's more attractive to look at. Personally, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. Just some funky lady who's kind of got a half smile. But I just thought it'd be kind of cool just to use that as an example and kind of talk about that. Now we come to the fun part. We're going to take a little break. Everybody's going to stand up, and we're going to try some symmetry measurements. This is only for fun, okay? This is not to hurt anybody's feelings. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to, okay? But you're going to need a partner. So everybody go ahead and stand up, okay? The space between the eyes is exactly one eye. So you're going to measure one eye, and then you're going to stick it in between. And your partner's going to help you determine if the space between your eyes is exactly one eye. Okay?
That's your eye right there. That's your space. You're all trying to look.
Okay, so number 2, your hand size is the same as your face. So the palm of your hand goes on your chin, the top finger goes onto your forehead. Your hand should be the same size as your head.
One more time.
Your hand should be the same size as your head. So the palm goes on your chin, and your middle finger goes all the way to the top of your forehead. Some people's heads are bigger. Some people's hands are bigger. Okay, number 3. This one's tricky. This one's really tricky. The distance between your elbow and your wrist is the length of your foot. There you go, she's got it. Somebody want to demonstrate for me? Somebody demonstrate for me. Right there.
All right.
Right there. Right there.
I'm sorry. Your elbow. Mine's bigger. I'm not. I have to switch left. My fingers are small for my body.
Number 4. The corners of your mouth hits the pupil of your eyes. The corners of your mouth should line up with the pupils of your eyes. And you're going to need a partner for this, okay? You might even want to try using a pen.
Yours is like.
Okay, number 5. Earlobes, the bottom of your earlobes hit the bottom of your nose. Bottom of your earlobes hit the bottom of your nose.
Way up.
Some people have bigger ears.
I got a white face. You're way off.
Okay. Next one. Your forehead, I would say from your eyebrow to the top of your head should be 1/3 of your face. Eyebrow to the bottom of your chin should be 2/3. 1/3, 2/3. Okay, moving on. Next measurement is the bottom of your nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin. Eyes and chin, nose should be, bottom of the nose should be halfway. Okay? I only have 2 left. Okay? Next one is the width of your shoulders is equal to 3 of your heads. The width of your shoulders is equal to 3 of your heads. This is your wingspan. When you put your arms out all the way, fingertip to fingertip is your wingspan. Okay, so do that for me. Okay, now this is kind of a yoga moment. Okay, you're gonna have to bend down and touch this finger to the ground, and the other finger goes up. Somebody's got to hold this spot. Okay, now come back up. Stand up, stand up. He should be as tall as his wingspan. Okay?
Oh, all right.
It's yoga.
Everybody sit down again. Measurements, it doesn't matter, okay? One of my concerns was, I want to talk about external view because that really interests me from a photo retouching point of view. But I think I have to counter. I mean, everybody knows this, external beauty doesn't last. Eventually you're going to get old and wrinkly, right? Everybody knows that, okay? And Mr. Potato Head is up here for a reason. He is, because did you know that the cartilage in your ears and your nose never stop growing? So by the time that you're 80, you're going to be out of symmetry anyway. You're going to have huge nose and ears, okay? So I want to counter or switch up and change gears and talk a little bit about internal beauty, because I think that is just as important as the external. And I've had a little slogan up on all of my slides. It says, "True beauty lies within our character." And I'm pretty sure all of you have met someone who's really beautiful on the outside, and they're just nasty mean on the inside. Yeah. And I know that you've met people that can I say homely, are not super attractive on the outside, but they just radiate this internal beauty, and everyone just loves them, And so, unless you're going to have plastic surgery, you're not going to be able to fix the space between your eyes. And I don't want you to, okay? That's not the point of this presentation. But you can work on your internal character traits. Those are things you can really make a difference with, and that will attract people to you. And I'm not denying that, your external looks won't get your foot in the door, because it will. But once you get your foot in the door, what are you going to do with it? That's very much dependent on what's on the inside. So I've got 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to whip through these pretty fast. I have 7 character traits that I want to talk about. The first one is kindness. Kindness is discovering the joy of helping others. Acts of kindness have been proven to reverse feelings of depression, hostility, and isolation. As a result, stress-related health problems often improve after you help someone. So what does kindness look like? Well, one of the ways to learn how to be kind is to observe kindness. And so I have a short list of some kind acts that a student wrote down. Just read them really fast. When I failed to respond to the alarm clock, my roommate awakened me so I would not be late to work. When I drove out of my apartment complex, a man paused and waved me into the flow of traffic. When I went for a break and did not have $1 for the drink machine, a fellow employee loaned me $1. I went to lunch alone and was invited to sit with 2 women from another department. When I left the office building, a security man opened the door for me. When I arrived home, Weasels, my dog, met me at the door wagging his tail. After dinner, my roommate did the dishes so I could get my homework done. Being kind is easy. You just have to look for opportunities throughout the day. Kindness is serving others. Now, I have an example of kindness on steroids. How many people know who this is?
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, that's right. And she's gone now, but she has an amazing legacy. And I was able to find a video of her in action, which I thought was really cool. The video's not going to make sense. I have to kind of read a little bit of a background blurb about it before we watch it. She actually stopped a war for 2 days. In 1982, the Palestinians and the Israelis were fighting, and she persuaded them to stop fighting so that she could go into a mental hospital and retrieve some retarded children that were trapped in the fighting. And it's absolutely incredible that she did this. So I'm just going to read this real quick. Beirut, Lebanon, August 14th, 1982. Mother Teresa of Calcutta helped evacuate 37 retarded and handicapped children today from a mental hospital in the Sahra refugee camp. Her wrinkled face broke into a broad grin as she entered the Dar al-Hazar al-Islamia mental hospital and began embracing the children huddled in a group on the floor. In her blue fringed white habit, the 72-year-old man who won the 1979 Nobel Peace Prize moved quietly through the knot of children, ranging in age from 7 to 21, giving a handshake to one of the older ones. Most of the children seemed unaware of what was happening. Some began to cry, but none tried to comfort them. Then one by one, International Red Cross workers, hospital employees, and Mother Teresa herself began picking up the children, many of them deformed. A few of the older ones, though retarded as well, were being taken along to help care for the younger ones. Children were taken to East Beirut. So this video is not super high quality. Hopefully this is going to work.
I do it for Jesus. He is my all. If He is my all, then I must be able to talk to people of the person I love. Because I love Him, I am here today. I do it for Jesus, for the greater glory of God, and the good of people.
Okay. Yeah. What do you say after that? I don't know. Pretty incredible. But bringing it back down to you and me, maybe just finding one person per day to be kind to would be hugely life transforming. To just wake up in the morning and go, you know, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna help somebody today. Next character trait is patience. Patience is accepting the imperfections of others. You know, as Americans, we're not taught patience whatsoever. Everything is instant gratification. You know, got microwave meals. You know, if you want something, just put it on the credit card. People on the freeway, they're driving too slow. What do you do? Yeah, you're all haters. Yeah. But people are going to mess up. It's just part of Murphy's Law, you know. And they're going to be late. The waitress is going to bring you the wrong order. Not everyone operates according to our priorities. But here's the key. Patience is what changes people. It changes you and it changes them. And part of being patient is acknowledging that relationships are more important than schedules. And patience is a huge character trait that attracts people to you. So who is this? Anybody know? Swimming accident. Is that ringing bells? This is Joni Eareckson Tada. Her story is kind of sad. She, when she was young, she dived into a shallow pool and broke her neck. And so she's a quadriplegic. She's amazing. Her arms and legs don't work. She's in a wheelchair, but she's got a mouth. And talk about inspirational. This woman has authored 35 books. She's been published in newspapers and magazines around the world. She has her own radio program. She's been on television. And on top of that, she's an amazing artist. And so this picture that you see, she's drawing with her mouth using a pencil. And the artwork that she does is very intricate. It's not sloppy. It's really well done. Just for kicks and giggles, I decided to try to draw with my mouth. That didn't go down so well. Maybe you guys might want to try it when you get home. Pretty crazy. I don't know if she has to have someone put a pencil in her mouth or put paint on her paintbrush for her. I don't know how that works. But if you think about it, being a quadriplegic, talk about infinite patience. She's completely dependent upon everybody to do everything for her. She can't do anything for herself. And if they mess it up, what's she going to do? You know? She has a quote, I think this is just ridiculously perfect. She said, "God used this injury to develop in me patience and endurance and tolerance and self-control and steadfastness and sensitivity and love and joy. These things didn't matter much when I was on my feet, but boy, they began to matter after I began living life in a wheelchair. I began to see that this is what made me truly a peaceful person. This is what real beauty was all about." Next one is forgiveness. Forgiveness is finding freedom from the grip of anger. And here's another definition. Using honesty, compassion, and self-awareness to reconcile with someone who has hurt you. This woman, you're not going to know. Her name is Mary Johnson. Her son was murdered by another young man. And I have a video on her story. I'd like to show it to you. It's pretty profound. She talks about forgiveness in the video, and she does it better than I could. So let me just play this really quick. There is a 15-second advertisement in the front. There's nothing I can do about it, so we just have to let it play. There you go. Look at that. That's what you do with it. You could be a firefighter and be really pretty, I guess. I don't know.
We end tonight with one of the most potent powers on earth. It can change lives in an instant. Everyone has it. It's the power to forgive. Watch it now in action in Steve Hartman's A Sign of a Marrow.
In a small apartment building in North Minneapolis, a 59-year-old teacher's aide sings praise to God for no seemingly apparent reason. Indeed, if anyone was to have issues with the Lord, it would be Mary Johnson.
For all you've done for me. You never have a chance.
In February 1993, Mary's son, Lorrainian Bird, was shot to death during an argument at a party. He was 20 and Mary's only child.
My son was gone.
The killer was a 16-year-old kid named O'Shea Israel.
I wanted justice. He was an animal. He deserved to be caged.
And he was. Tried as an adult and sentenced to 25.5 years. O'Shea served 17 before being recently released. He now lives back in the old neighborhood, close to Mary. This close.
He lives next door.
Next door.
How a convicted murderer ended up living a door jam away from his victim's mother is a story not of horrible misfortune, as you might expect, but of remarkable mercy.
A few years ago, Mary asked if she could meet O'Shea here at Minnesota's Stillwater State Prison. As a devout Christian, she felt compelled to see if there was some way, if somehow
she could forgive her son's killer.
What'd she say to you? I believe the first thing she said was, look, you don't know me, I don't know you, let's just start with right now. And I was befuddled myself.
O'Shea says they met regularly after that. When he got out, she introduced him to her landlord, who, with Mary's blessing, invited O'Shea to move into the building. Today, they don't just live close, they are close. Clearly, Mary was able to forgive.
Unforgiveness is like cancer. It will eat you from the inside out. It's not about that other person. Me forgiving him does not diminish what he's done. Yes, he murdered my son, but the forgiveness is for me. It's for me.
For O'Shea, it hasn't been that easy.
I haven't totally forgiven myself yet. I'm learning how to forgive myself. And I'm still going towards, trying to forgive myself and what it is I've done.
To that end, O'Shea is now busy proving himself to himself. He works at a recycling plant by day and goes to college by night. He says he's determined to pay back Mary's clemency by contributing to society. In fact, he's already working on it, singing the praises of God and forgiveness at prisons, churches, to large audiences everywhere.
Forgiveness is a powerful thing.
Which explains why Mary can sing her praise of thanks to her audience of one. Steve Harper, CBS News, Minneapolis.
So, Mary said, unforgiveness is like cancer. It will eat you from the inside out. It is not about the other person. Me forgiving him does not diminish what he's done. Yes, he murdered my son, but the forgiveness is for me. It's for me. And I just find it very inspiring to see her inner peace and her inner beauty for just being able to forgive. Here's the application. Start practicing forgiveness by offering apologies for even small offenses. And you can't have long-term positive relationships without forgiveness. Next one is courtesy. Courtesy is treating others as friends. It's kind of like kindness and it's kind of not. The popular concept of courtesy is to be well-mannered. And the word courtesy, however, is much richer. It needs to be friendly-minded. Not everyone will be our friend, but courtesy motivates us to treat other people as if they were friends in our speech and our behavior. This is rooted in the belief that everyone we meet is worthy of our friendship. Beneath every exterior is a person worth knowing. When we are discourteous, we are acting as if we were the most important person in the world at that moment. Here's the litmus test. If you saw someone walking, a couple of feet in front of you and a $20 bill falls out of their pocket, what would you do? A, let them walk on and pick up that 20 and stick it in your pocket? Yeah? Or B, would you go pick up the 20 and chase after them and say, hey, mister, you dropped your 20. Okay, now let's change the context of the situation. What if that person ahead of you was your best friend? What would you do? You go get the 20 and give it to them, right? Because they're your friend. And that's kind of the defining moment of what courtesy is. Talk about manners for a second. How about your cell phone? When you're with your friends, do you put your cell phone away? Does the world revolve around you when you're with other people? Courtesy pays attention to others. Do you interrupt people when they're talking? Does anybody know who this picture is up here? Anybody musical? Yes? Joshua Bell, yes. This is Joshua Bell. He's currently, you get a prize, good job. He's currently the most renowned violinist in the world. And there's a little story behind him. This is kind of cool, you may have heard of this. I'm going to read it. It says, a little before 8 a.m. on Friday, January 12, 2007, a young man in jeans and a t-shirt and a Washington Nationals baseball cap stepped inside Washington, D.C.'s Elephant Plaza, just outside the metro, and took a violin out of its case, Leaving the open case at his feet, he tossed in a few dollars, turned to face the businessmen and women rushing through the metro doors, and began to play. 63 people passed by the violinist before one man briefly turned his head as he walked by. A few seconds later, a woman put in the first donation of the performance, $1. 6 minutes into the performance, someone stood against the wall nearby and listened. In the 43 minutes that the violinist played, 7 people stopped to listen to the performance for at least 1 minute. 27 people tossed money into the case. 1,070 people rushed by just a few feet away without seeming to see or hear the musician. What these hurried commuters didn't know was that they could have enjoyed a free concert that morning by the internationally acclaimed violinist Joshua Bell, as he played some of the most stunning music ever written on a 1713 Stradivarius violin. The Washington Post had arranged the performance as an experiment. Would people stop to notice beauty amid the bustle of the rush hour? Far more people stood in line for a lottery ticket at the kiosk at the top of the escalators nearby. It's a strange feeling that people were actually ignoring me, Bell says, laughing. In the 3/4 of an hour that he played that day, he earned $32.17. In more typical settings, his talents can bring up to $1,000 a minute. Courtesy gives us the opportunity to notice the beauty and giftedness of people we encounter every day. Next one is humility. How many people know who this is? Guys should know, right? Who is it? Pat Tillman, yeah. I like to come at things through the back door. I don't know why, it's just the way my personality is. And humility really is coming in through the back door, in a sense where you are stepping down so that someone else can step up. Humility is a willingness to sacrifice if doing so would enhance the lives of others. Humility is the opposite of self-advancement. And the example I have is Pat Tillman. He was a football player. He played for the Arizona Cardinals. And after the September 11th attacks, he finished off his remaining career of his 15 remaining games in 2001. And then he enlisted in the military. Tillman turned down a contract offer of $3.6 million over 3 years from the Cardinals to enlist in the U.S. Army. In 2004, he was deployed to Afghanistan and was killed by friendly fire. Sorry, it makes me emotional. He gave his life for us. And the dude was making bank. He didn't have to go do this. He had an offer to stay in football for 3 more years. But he was so deeply moved that he was a true warrior. You know, he went out and did the right thing. Next one is generosity. Generosity is giving yourself to others. Usually we think of generosity, we think of giving material possessions, but generosity is more than money. It's giving time, talents, and at the core, ourselves. The application is to give someone your time is to give them a portion of your life. You can give the gift of time to someone every day. And to be fully present is very important. This is another example of generosity on steroids, because I don't know if you've heard of this guy. Have you guys heard about him? Albert Lexie. His story is kind of humbling. He's a 63-year-old guy. He works at a children's hospital and he shines shoes for a living. He charges $3 a shoe shine. And any tips that he makes, he donates to the children's hospital. And he's donated over $100,000 in tips to help the kids. Is that incredible? And you can see how happy he is right there. Look at him. He's just smiling, and yeah, he's got that inner beauty, you know. And so generosity is a major character trait. You know, what you do with your money and your possessions very much defines who you are. And so giving it away, it develops you as a person. Last one is honesty. And honesty is revealing who you really are. And the only sentence I have is just be real. I mean, who are we trying to impress anyway? You know? Just be real. People really want to know you. They really want to know who you really are. This person you're not going to know. This is my friend, Wendy. And this is actually a photo that I took. She had been a roommate for several years, and then she moved out, she got married. The first year into her marriage, she found out that she had cancer. And I was devastated. I was really just devastated, so upset. And one of the reasons I was so upset is because I had lost my mother to cancer when I was 19. And I knew what the long haul looks like when you have cancer. And I begged her, I said, please don't do the chemo, please don't do the radiation, please, could you try some alternative health things? Is there anything out there you could do? And in the end, it's her body, her choices. She went with the hospital chemo route. And of course, in that process, she lost all her hair. And she was balder than a bald eagle. And I came to her and I said, let me take your picture. And she said, no. She said, this is so shameful for me. I have no hair. And I'm so sick. I just don't feel well. And I said, that's exactly it. We have to take your picture. So we've got to document this. And there's something about me where when I love people, I just want to take the picture. I want to capture them. And I begged her and begged her and begged her. And finally, she kind of relented. And I think it was, I really had to, we finally got to a place where she was willing to trust me, where she was willing to be vulnerable, to be seen for where she was really at. And she said, okay, let's do it. So we did a photo shoot. And I can tell you right now, she rocked her baldness. It was awesome. It was awesome. She's a beautiful woman. Her dad is black, her mom is white. She got that lucky, perfect mix. And she just, it didn't matter whether she had hair or not. But this is her revealing herself for who she really is, being at her most vulnerable point. The story has a good ending. She got better. She finished off the chemo and the radiation. She got cancer-free. Got her hair back. She was told she probably would not be able to have kids because of the radiation. And a year and a half ago, she got pregnant. She had a little boy. So she is doing awesome. So that is my presentation. I just want to end with one sentence. It says, I challenge you to discover the inner beauty within yourself by developing a good quality of character, for true beauty lies within our character. Thank you very much.